Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Antony and Cleopatra, the Final War of the Roman Republic. This is a game designed by John Thiessen and published by Hollandspiele Games. If you are already familiar with Hollandspiele, and if you're not, you should be, you'll know that their games are a little different than others. This is a little bit more kind of mainstream compared to some of their other titles, but we'll take a look at here at the back of the box and see what this game is all about. John Thiessen's streamlined approach to operational warfare in the 19th century in games such as Hood's Last Gamble and Campaign of Nations has won him a number of admirers. Now he turns his attention to the last war of the Roman Republic, to the marching of legions and the sailing of fleets, to the rise of Augustus and the fall of Mark Antony and the cunning Queen of Egypt, Cleopatra. Each player must raise troops and build ships using these military forces to enact their will and conduct campaigns against the enemy. Along the way, they will face the challenges inherent in ancient warfare, the difficulty of keeping troops supplied, perilous storms at sea, the spreading of plagues, and the opportunistic assaults of Rome's external enemies. As the war wears on, both sides will attempt to chip away at the other's prestige and standing. If your prestige falls low enough, your troops and provinces might defect, tipping the balance. And should it fall to zero, you lose this high-stakes battle. The winner shall rule over an empire. The loser? Well, as Octavian said before Cleopatra's son was strangled, 2 Caesars are 1 too many. The spoils of victory and the consequences of defeat might not be quite as serious as all that when the troops are made of cardboard, but Antony and Cleopatra allows you to refight this epic contest for ultimate power in the relative safety of your home or gaming club. Though somewhat more granular and detailed than Mr. Thiessen's other games for Hollandspiele, this remains a quick, compelling, and accessible exploration of this fascinating subject. And here it says the components: you get a 22 by 34 inch map sheet, 88 counters, 4-page player aid card, 12-page rulebook, 20 province cards, and 1 6-sided die. Here on the side, it tells us this is for 2 players. It plays in 120 minutes. It has high solitaire suitability, and the weight is medium. And that gives you an idea of what you're going to get, but we'll take a look inside the box. We've got our cards. Let me put this on the side here. We got our cards. We got our D6, our counters, our rule book, our player aid booklet, I guess we can call it. It's a 4-page player aid card, and then our map. So let me set this map up, and we'll come back and take a look at the rest of the game. And here is the map that comes with the game. It is a really pretty map. I love not only the color palette, but I love the ancient style that was used. The map doesn't look perfect like it does today. It looks very ancient, has a very ancient vibe to it. It really does resonate with the times, and I really love the work here. It was done by Ilya Kudryashov, and so that says all there is to say about that map right there, and that's why it's fantastic. But everything that you need is on the map. You have your prestige track over on the left side, and then your resource point track, off-map garrisons track over here, and then your turn track and your track down at the bottom right. And like I said, pretty easy to understand everything that's on the map. The hexes are kind of have a slight relief to them, so they're not as pronounced on the map, which is nice. It really does, they blend right into the map very well. They don't stand out like sometimes, like for example on the borders over here, there's like a dramatic difference, a contrast in the brightness of the hex borders and the map colors themselves. Here it's not so. You need that for the borders, but you don't want it here on the map, and you can easily read all of the hex numbers that are on the map. Very well done map. All right, so here's a look at the counters we get with the game. We have auxilia, legions, experienced legions, cavalry, supply, and different fleet squadrons here. And you have your forces of Octavian and Antony and Cleopatra. You have some administrative counters, and then external forces that you will be facing in the game. And they are double-sided. We've got some cards, nice small, easy to store cards. These are for province control. As you can see, the different provinces here, and I'm going to assume that these are the point values of the provinces. Then we have our player aid card here. It is a 4-page player aid card, so it's a booklet really, just folded out. And you've got on the front land combat results table, troops, provinces, troop DRMs, retreat before land combat, loss converter table, terrain effects chart, gaining and losing prestige. Inside we have troubles table, off-map combat table, attrition table, all of your DRMs and movement point costs, invasion checks, revenge table, sequence of play, combat sequence, and then the setup for the Western and Eastern player, and naval combat results table on the back, Storm effects table, storm table, retreat before naval combat, random storm check, loss converter table, sea movement hazards, DRMs for sea movement, and then your terrain effects chart. So it's pretty much like the front. It's just this is for land, this is for your sea forces. Pretty easy to read. Everything's laid out nicely, and not, you know, a very large text too, which is I really appreciate, because the older I get, the harder it is to read things. All right, so let's take a look at the rule book. It is listed as being 12 pages. It actually goes only to page 11, which is the back of the book. It gives you the prestige and victory conditions here in the game, and love the picture here on the front of this rule book. It's a really nice painting that was used, I'm going to assume. Really love that. It brings you right into the era. Well, let's take a look inside the rules and see what we can expect from this game. It gives you an introduction here that is, the time frame is 32 BCE, and the Roman world convulses in a civil war for the third time in less than 20 years. I'm not going to read all that. I'll let you read that when you get the game, but it gives the explanation, the backstory of the game. Down here it says, Antony and Cleopatra is a game for 2 players, recreating this final and decisive war of the Roman Republic. One player, called the Western player, controls the forces loyal to Octavian and uses red counters. Their opponent, called the Eastern player, controls the forces loyal to Antony and Cleopatra and uses blue counters. Each player must contend with the difficulties of building, moving, and supplying large forces while dealing with plague, attrition, outside invasions, and the tempestuous sea. The game is played over the course of 3 years, with each divided into turns that represent about 1.5 months. The game can end sooner if one player manages to reduce the other player's prestige to 0. It goes into the explanation of the components, and as we already saw, the counters that you get, you have Auxilia. Those are the white eagles. Legion are the black eagles. Experienced legions are the black eagles with the dot up on the top right. You have cavalry, supply units, and then you have two type of squadrons, light and heavy squadrons, and then you have transport units down here. And then you have your invaders, which is here the Illyrians and the Parthians, as well as pirates. And then you have your leader counters, which we saw, and then the tracking markers, the admin counters, which we saw as well. And then it goes into the display sheets, player aid, core concepts, and unfortunately it looks like there's a little bit of a bleed on that page. Not a big deal. It's not going to affect me reading the rule book. Then we have off-map garrisons, winter turns, summer turns, your first turn, and then set up all of the locations for the units that you'll be setting up on the map for the game. Then you have your sequence of play, random events phase. You have storm check, invasion check, Illyrian invasion, Parthian invasion, and then you get into the reinforcement phase, building replacements, defection phase, where you can get troops to defect. You offer them milk and cookies. They come over to your side, join the dark side. Province defection, then you have movement phase, land movement, leaving the map, transports, naval movement, leader movement, and then your troubles phase, combat phase, explains all of the steps of combat, attacker declaration, retreat before combat, odds calculation, combat results table, losses, retreats, advances, naval combat, and then you have in harbor and heavy and light squadrons, Cleopatra's reserve, and transports in combat. Then you have the explanation of attrition and then supply, and then we are to the back of the book where it explains to you prestige and victory conditions and gives you the credits. But as you can see, a pretty fast rule book to go through, which is one of the biggest strengths of Hollandspiele's games. Not only are they fun and interesting, they're also pretty quick to digest and get on the table, which makes them a lot of fun. You can, the minute you get it, you can throw it on the table and you can pretty much learn it as you go. And I've always enjoyed that about their games. And that is a look inside everything you get with Antony and Cleopatra from Hollandspiele. It is a game designed by John Thiessen, and it is available now. I don't know about you, but this map alone makes me want to play this right now, and I'm going to try to get this on the table this weekend and give it a shot and see how it plays. One of the greatest things about Hollandspiele's games is they have low rules complexity. It's something you can get on the table pretty quick, understand it, and then the time is going to be spent on the playing it and replaying it to understand how to play better each time. So that's one of the best parts about Hollandspiele's games, on top of the fact that they hit some unique subjects and oftentimes quirky ones. So if you've not played any of Hollandspiele's games, I would strongly recommend, if you're a solo gamer, Wars of Marcus Aurelius, Agricola, Master of Britain, NATO Air Commander, Lost Provinces, the Northern and Southern Strategy, the Supply Lines of the American Revolution. These are all very, very fun games to get, and I highly recommend them if you don't already have them. So go over to hollandspiele.com and check them out, and if you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.